All right, everyone, the state of Rhode Island is doing something that really needs to be done everywhere, which is it is going to expunge the records of people who have been found guilty of simple possession of marijuana, because they've legalized it now. It's no longer against the law to smoke pot there. I believe that growing is still illegal there. I think you can only get it from dispensaries, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that. Maybe someone from Rhode Island can cue me in. But it's becoming legal. So there's no reason to have people going around with a criminal record based on something that's no longer a crime. I think that this should be done whenever possible, especially with regards to the drug war. But here's the thing. This is not a progressive thing to do. This is a lukewarm, sort of cowardly neoliberal thing to do. The truly progressive, in the moral sense, I don't mean like the progressive movement, because they're actually regressives. I mean like actual social progress, maybe, towards not making classes of criminals for no reason. Insofar as the drug war goes, if you want to take up the true pro-liberty, pro-ethics, like everything good and wholesome in the world line, it shouldn't just be pot. And it shouldn't just be simple possession. I think that people who were, somebody's like, they got thrown in jail for dealing. Well, if they were just dealing a small bag of marijuana, they're not able to have their sentence revisited. Yet they've done nothing demonstrably further wrong than somebody who simply had a bag of weed and was smoking it themselves. Simple possession should be combined with low-level dealing. Any sort of non-violent possession and exchange-related thing, someone who grew weed, that would have been felonious. Even if it was just a couple of plants that, well, obviously they're for their use, maybe their inner circle. Their mom's got cancer. They set up a small grow operation. They're like, okay, Mom, you'll be able to keep a meal down. They go in on felony charges. It's not simple possession. And so they, under, I guess, Rhode Island's system here, aren't going to be able to be declared not to have committed any reasonable crime retroactively. I think that that's not progressive. If that's what progressivism is, my goodness, you're a bunch of cowards. And why is it just related to pot? Why aren't we talking about the larger issue of decriminalizing these substances, not on the basis that, well, weed is okay, it's not really dangerous? Okay, fuck that, of course. Psychedelics aren't particularly dangerous either on any objective measurement. What about the fact that we still prevent scientists and doctors from conducting experiments with virtually all of these substances, despite the fact that the handful of allowed studies have shown remarkable progress? We're not just talking about weed. Okay, weed can help with glaucoma. It can help with pain. It can help to a degree with depression, although there are maybe other more holistic options. Weed has medical benefits. Established, scientifically credible medical benefits. Multiple medical benefits. It's not going to cure your cancer or something. That's bullshit, but it can definitely help with the pain. It can definitely help with the nausea from chemotherapy. It has medical benefits, but what about MDMA? MDMA is cited now in research on depression, among other things. Magic mushrooms, psilocybin, certainly appears to be possibly the most single potent substance with regards to treatment of depression. And yet you're not allowed to obtain those, even though they grow wild all over in nature. By the way, cow pastures filled with illegal drugs, I guess. There are amanitas that grow around here. Now, those aren't an illegal substance until you pick and prepare and attempt to ingest them, but, they are a drug. Here's the thing. All of those substances, number one, should be legal for medical purposes and research purposes. Absolutely legal. No substance, no matter how lethal it potentially is, like, perfectly legal, technically fentanyl or something, no substance should be banned for those purposes. If it's medically active, if it's being researched for possible medical or other applications, it should be legal for them. They should all be decriminalized for simple possession. Somebody's got a pocket full of magic mushrooms. They're not a dealer. They're taking magic mushrooms. None of your business. It's none of the state's business. Here's the thing. The whole drug war is prefaced on the false notion that the Commerce Clause somehow has to do with in-state operations with regards to growing weed or consuming drugs or something. No, it doesn't. And the very concept that Congress can bypass the Constitution by creating a bureau and giving it the power to bypass the First and Fourth Amendments, and in some cases, I suppose, the 10th on a federal level. The fact that that can happen is ludicrous, and it's not the way the Constitution is meant to work. The only problem is that for so long you've had so many layers of propaganda with regards to these substances. that the majority of the population simply said, well, for pragmatic reasons, we're not going to try to judge the constitutionality of the government imprisoning someone for excessive periods of time for consuming a fucking mushroom, or for growing a fucking plant, or having, a vial of chemicals, or something like that. We simply haven't made any significant effort to end the drug war because there's never been any significant support. I think that's beginning to change. But this is just very much the beginning. The idea that revisiting a handful of simple possession sentences retroactively, and even then, not all of them will necessarily be overturned. They're saying that they'll consider it on a case-to-case basis. They should just sign a piece of fucking paper. They should just pass a bill, hey, we're rescinding these people's criminal records on the state books because it's not a crime anymore and it never should have been a crime to begin with. This is stupid. The drug war is fucking stupid. They should extend it further. They should extend it beyond simple possession, and they should do it from a libertarian framework. The government, state and federal, are not allowed to violate a person's fundamental rights. Their pursuit of happiness is fundamentally violated when you are throwing them in jail for their own sole ingestion or creation of substances. It's just like with alcohol. It would be no different than saying, hey, we're going to outlaw booze. They did that with a constitutional amendment because they understood at the time, in the Prohibition, the Temperance era, they understood that only by that means would it be constitutional to ban alcohol. They couldn't pass a simple bill because it would violate the Fourth Amendment. They understood that. How then is it not in violation the drug war, which is 10 times more expansive and has lasted, what now, 7 times as long? It's totally unconstitutional. It should be totally abolished. If you want to continue the drug war, pass a constitutional amendment delineating that Congress shall have the right to determine what Americans can and cannot fucking ingest, insofar as things would be psychoactive in some degree. Otherwise, it continues to be illegal. All of these people being sentenced, I believe in due time. It might take 100 years. I believe in due time, after Supreme Court decisions and after cultural shift, people will understand that essentially this is a moralistic dark age with regards to psychotropics. It's a hypocrite society. Think about it. You let people get doped up on painkillers, creating, by the way, a national crisis in so doing. And yet you have a problem with marijuana or LSD or some of these substances that have no significant addiction action. It's very, very, very funny. I think that the drug war should be ended entirely. It's unconstitutional. That's the long and short of it is that it's unlawful for the government to actually create these laws in the first place. Whether it be Rhode Island, the federal government, fucking the state of Vermont, Texas, wherever it happens to be, they're not given the right to violate citizens' Fourth Amendment rights. If you are in your own home ingesting some substance, minding your own business, fundamentally that's part of your right to privacy. Fundamentally, the Constitution guarantees, under that premise, the right to be left alone. If you are doing nothing to victimize others, you should be at leisure to do whatever you want. You should be able to grow 100 pot plants, not bothering anyone. That's about all. Peace out.